can introduce Jake.
Yeah.
Jake Williams, he's a road crew member for Dead End Game Calls. He's on the board for Missouri Disabled Sportsmen. He's a volunteer for Missouri Department of Conservation, and he's the closest thing to a wild turkey as a friend that I have. So, he's going to talk to you a lot about actually how to get the job done, the crazy scenarios and the different calls you can use and fun stuff. So with that, I want to thank Jake for coming and do this for so many years. We appreciate him being here. If you don't get time to spend a little bit of time learning how to call a turkey with Jake, then you're missing out. So make sure you take advantage of the opportunity.
Thanks for having me as always. Look forward to working with all the kids. I'd already ran some calls with some of the kids today, and everybody's really sounding good. When we're finished up in here, feel free to come up here. We'll run some calls. We'll go through a lot of different stuff. My favorite thing about turkey hunting is just kind of what Kyle said. What do turkeys do all night? They're up in a tree. So the funnest thing about turkey hunting is they're on the ground almost all day, every day. So unlike deer hunting and other things, when stuff's not moving, turkeys are always out and about if the weather's good. So catch a good day, you're always going to have some kind of action. And how are we going to kill these turkeys? Or how are we going to see turkeys? It's not just an ambush game of finding the right places and what they eat and what they do. We're going to take advantage of a couple things that turkeys are big on, which one is social. Turkeys are very social animals. If you think about, you guys are in school and you got different groups of people that do different things. You got kids that play sports, you got kids that are into art, kids that are into music. Turkeys are very intertwined the same way. Like they have a social structure. There's bullies, there's gossipy hens, there's all these different personalities and stuff within turkeys. And what we're going to do is take advantage of that, and we're going to use calling and communication to get turkeys within range. We're also going to use decoys because turkeys love to be around other turkeys. So what we've done the past few days is scouting for you guys. So we spent 3 days up here now. We've been out listening in the morning. So turkeys are up in the trees all night. They're lonely, they're social, and what they want to do in the morning is figure out where all the other turkeys are at and spend their day with them. So we've been out early in the morning listening to them gobbles. You're going to hear more turkey talk on the roost than any other time. So we've been out listening for turkeys, marking down on maps where they're at. Also paying attention to where they fly down. When they fly down, we're trying to get a direction. We're looking at our maps. All right, this turkey was roosted here, and he's going this direction. And most of these blinds we put out have been to catch that, intercept that route. Turkeys are kind of predictable too, just like us. We have certain places we go to eat. We get out of our bed in the morning, we go to the kitchen, we go and brush our teeth. Turkeys have patterns as well, so we're taking advantage of that. So that's what we've done. We put a lot of blinds up in some really good places. We're going to hear a lot of turkeys tomorrow. We're going to hear a lot of gobbling. It's going to be fun. Overall prep. So this is just a basic dump of what I would have in my vest. Most turkey hunters will carry a vest or some kind of a little fanny pack, depending on how much stuff they carry. Some people that don't carry a lot can get away with something like this, or a backpack. If you really get a turkey hunt, I recommend something like a vest. It's got all these different pouches for different things, plenty of room. And I'll just do a quick little vest, go through and kind of tell you some of the stuff that I carry. Most of the important things is turkey calls. That's how I kill almost all my turkeys, is by calling them in. So calls are important, lots of different calls. A good pair of binoculars. I recommend something decently sized like this. You can get the little bitty ones, but in my opinion, you just don't get enough zoom on those to really get a good picture. But I don't like the huge ones either. Just a good medium-sized pair of binoculars. My binoculars are on me 100% of the time. They help me tremendously. So that's a big one. Some kind of a saw or pruners, whether we're hunting a blind or just sitting against a tree, being able to brush yourself in, make yourself little shooting lanes. A saw or some pruners are really important. A head net, for sure is on that list. Yeah, some kind of a head net to cover your face. How do turkeys evade predators? So they use their eyes and their ears. Can turkeys smell? Anybody think? Not much. Some science has shown they can smell a little bit, but not very much. So it's the eyes and the ears. And what turkeys see really well is movement. So we can get away with not having everything camouflaged if we can sit super still, but most of us can't do that. We're swatting bugs and mosquitoes, and we're constantly turning our heads. So a head net, camouflage, head to toes, gloves, all those things that cover that glare. Our skin kind of glows in the sun. and turkeys see that real easy. So gloves and a head net are important to have in a vest. And not only turkey calls, but also locator calls. And we're going to go over some locator calls in a little while. Why do turkeys gobble? Turkeys gobble to talk to other turkeys, to talk to other gobblers, to talk to hens. So they gobble to respond to a turkey. They also gobble when they hear a loud noise to show dominance, to show their territory that this is my area. So if they hear owls, crows, woodpeckers, car horns, all those things make turkeys gobble. And you guys are going to get to see a lot of that. Other things in the vest I like to carry is a wing. And we'll get to see that tomorrow. We'll do some turkey fly downs. In the morning, I like to kind of paint a picture. If I got a turkey gobbling close to me and he's on the roost, what I usually do is start out with some real soft calls, just like the turkeys are doing, and then I'll actually use a wing and I'll actually fly down like a turkey. And all those things you're doing are painting a picture to that gobbler. He's like, I can't wait to get on the ground. There are other turkeys here. So all these things matter. And you guys can come up here after this is over. We'll go through the vest. And if there's any questions about anything that you might need, water, snacks, toilet paper, all those different things, all important stuff to have in the vest. So the scouting, just like it says, we're listening. We're going to high spots. We're going to places where we can see a lot, hear a lot. We're glassing. If turkeys have a lot of turkeys with them, sometimes they get a little bit possessive of that and they might stop gobbling once they get on the ground. And they'll just want to strut for their hens and try to herd them off into places away from other gobblers. So we like to get where we can see and hear. Looking at maps, we can go through some maps later. Looking for turkey signs. So if we're not hearing or seeing turkeys, what we can find is tracks. Just like that right there. Me and Country went to a lot of places today that we haven't had to listen. We found a lot of tracks today. We found a lot of droppings today. So, and hopefully your mentors will be able to show you in the field. There's been some rain up here off and on, so we've got a lot of turkey tracks out there, but the gobbler tracks are bigger. And I don't really get out there and measure it with anything. I can't measure nothing, but we can kind of show you side by side here the gobbler tracks. And then there's scat. So a hen will have a rounded scat. So a hen will be more rounded, and that's why they have different shapes of scat. I don't know, but they'll be more like a round, like a ball, and anything that's a jake or a gobbler will be kind of a J-shaped or a hook. Does everybody know what I'm talking about if I say jake? So what do we call a mature male turkey? A tom. What's another name? Gobbler? Anything else have one? Longbeard? All those different terms. And what do we call a 1-year-old male turkey? With a little short beard, what do we call that? That's a jake. So that's what I'm referring to. So a jake will have that J-shaped scat as well. Feathers. So we had that one slide a while ago. You can see how much darker a male turkey is. That's because of those feathers on the outside. So we find feathers too. That can tell us whether there's hens, gobblers, or both. Now we get to talk about calling. So this is the primary method for turkey hunting. This is what turkey hunting is so much fun for, is the interaction. Most of you guys I've talked to today have deer hunted, done different things, and that's a lot of a waiting game, which is fun in itself. But what's awesome about turkeys is they're so social, you get to communicate with them. You guys are going to get to run calls, and it's really neat when you get that interaction. You get a turkey to respond to you, and you're actually fooling. And hopefully you guys get to hear some hens and some gobblers. So 3 important R's of calling wildlife. The right place. It's a lot easier to call a turkey in if you're where he wants to be. It's hard to get one to come into a place where he doesn't feel comfortable. If it's too thick, if it's too high, if it's too low, if it's too wet, he doesn't want to be there, it's hard to call him there. Just like us. If somebody really wanted us to come to a place, it's going to be somewhere we're comfortable. The right timing. Using the right calls at the right time of year and the proper timing for the situation. So you kind of got to read the temperature of the turkeys. And turkeys are a little bit different every day and every hour. So this morning was kind of a cold, overcast, windy morning. The turkeys gobbled. I didn't hear a whole lot of hens. So this morning I would have been a little bit more laid back with my calling. I would have kind of took in the temperature. Yesterday morning was clear and sunny, but cold. And everything was just intense. The gobblers were gobbling like crazy, the hens were going crazy, and that's just reading that temperature. Yesterday morning, you could have really laid on a call, and you could have had a lot of fun because the turkeys were really ripe yesterday. So you got every day's different, every hour is different. And just really kind of put yourself in the same position the turkey's in. If you're in a place like a library or a church, everybody's nice and quiet, and if one person come in there and she's just jabbing all over the place, that's gonna seem odd, and it's gonna deter people away from you. But if you're somewhere that's fun and active like that, you can blend right in. And then how they react. So your mentors will go over to you why we're calling, how much we're calling, how loud we're calling. A lot of that's based on the reaction from the turkeys. So we don't have any audio to go with these yet, but you guys are going to hear some gobbles stuff on. We didn't think we had in here. So that's a gobble. That's a hen that he's answering. Cool. So this is talking about some of the shot gobble we talked about. So they gobble to answer hens, and they also gobble at loud noises. So there's some of the stuff I already talked about, the owls, the crows, the hawks. What's that? Owl. You know what that one is, right? Crow. We got calls that can do all these things. And your mentors will use these the next couple of days, so you'll get to kind of see what they all sound like in person. But a turkey has 28 vocalizations. Do you think we need to know all 28 vocalizations of a turkey? We don't need to know that many. Two basic ones are the yelp and the cluck. And this is, let's see what the audio sounds like. That's a basic yelp. But a yelp can be quiet, it can be loud. Like if I want to be like a nice, content turkey that's not trying to boss anybody around, that's not trying to put any demands on something, I can do something soft. And that's just letting another turkey, that's just saying, hello, I'm over here, or how are you doing, or where are you at? But if I want to really boss one around, volume and inflection and raspiness, all those things, and your mentors will tell you about different kinds of calling and what it really means. So that's a yelp. And then a cluck is just something content. That's just a soft, content call called a cluck. That's a good sound to hear if you got turkeys around you. That means they're comfortable. They're not spooked, and they're happy with whatever the situation is. They're happy with where you're at. They're happy with your decoys, all those things. We talked about most of the essentials already, but the permit is necessary. Have we all got permits yet? If we haven't, talk to us afterwards and we'll get that sorted out. A vest is essential, a backpack. Shotguns, we've shot shotguns. Do we all have good ammo with the shotguns? Everybody's good with that? Camo, various types of calls. Like I said, we'll just have to get hands-on with those later. I got lots of different kinds. Ammunition, I'm not going to get too far in the weeds on this. Different shot sizes are required for turkeys than other animals, like your ducks and stuff like that are a lot smaller BBs, but turkey shells have changed so much since we've gotten the new material like tungsten and things like that. Bows, you can't use bows, the same ones for deer. It's kind of got to go with some turkey calls. All right, some decoys. Just like we have up here on the table, these are actually hand carved by some of our folks here. They did a really good job on them, but we're going to use a lot of different decoys this weekend. Hens, gobblers, jakes, all those different things. They can be a very effective tool, especially in this part of the state where you got a lot of open ground. So a lot of our positions are set where we can use that visual appeal from a turkey and get them in. Hen is recommended. If I'm only going to have one decoy, it's probably going to be a hen. Because why? Because the main thing we're trying to do is draw gobblers in to act like a hen. Take precaution when transporting. I always put the decoys in some kind of a bag. They're not in sight, especially like the red and blue heads on a gobbler decoy. You don't want to get an accidental shot. Camouflage. Like we talked about, it's a necessity. Movement is the most important thing that a turkey sees, but a good camouflage helps conceal some of that movement. Hiking boots, rubber boots, depending on the terrain. Usually the mornings are wet when you're turkey hunting because it's springtime, and it's kind of uncomfortable to have wet feet all day after you walk into the dew. So I recommend rubber boots or some kind of waterproof hiking boots. Vests, a lot of different kinds. Ground blinds. We're all going to be starting tomorrow morning in ground blinds. We put out ground blinds all over the place, all over these farms. Real good spots where we've heard turkeys gobbling, where we've seen turkeys, where we found turkeys signed like tracks and scat. What's nice about them is you can really shut yourself inside those blinds. As long as you make the inside of that blind darker than what's outside, you can get away with a lot of movement in those blinds and a little bit of extra noise. So we like that, especially for when we're teaching people how to turkey hunt. Because we can work with them, talk to them about the safety on the gun and where to point, when to start getting the positions. So blinds are pretty awesome for that. It makes the experience a lot more fun for teaching, especially. And we'll talk to you more about blind setups, different kinds of ground blinds. And in fact, the Kurtzman Foundation got you guys some blinds for all you kids to take home. So we'll talk a lot about blinds and how to set them up, how to take care of them and stuff like that. All right, so after this is over, I got a whole bunch of calls up here. You're welcome to come play them with me. I'll teach you about different kinds of calls, because like this is called a pop call, but as you can see, there's so many different surfaces. Like this one's slate, this one's ceramic, you've got glass. All these different surfaces sound different, along with all these different wood types. So you've got all kinds of different woods, all kinds of different surfaces, and they all sound very different. So we can go through a lot of that stuff after this is over. And I encourage the mentors to teach the kids and work with them this weekend on their call. All right, any questions so far from me? All right, pass it back over to Rob.